My question is from feminist culture studies, talking about the differences between silence and language in Western language and Asian culture. So my question is, how do you think about this kind of a silence representation or about the region of the truth in the difference between Western, like a Holocaust memory, and Asia, this kind of trauma and dealing with the truth? Because currently there's a lot of discussion about Foucault and China in culture studies in Taiwan. That's a lot of differences, maybe, I don't want to essentialize, but differences between the truth, witness, and spectacle, and this kind of language, and the emotion representation in terms of the silence, and unforgetting or memories issues. Thank you.
No other questions? Then there's a microphone to Thongchai. Okay.
Thanks to every question, great questions. For the first question, is the massacre count by the number? Massacre doesn't have to be big. We call massacre. Genocide is different. Remember many other massacre at, let's say, the killing in the US recently of schools. The number is in dozen, right? Killing of My Lai, we call My Lai massacre. So I think I used the word right. If anybody said that, suggests that the killing in October 6, 1976 is genocide, no way. Even the impetus, the purpose is not by eradication of genes, of species of human, no. This is massacre. Massacre doesn't have to be small, doesn't have to be big. But I said already, even though the number of these cases is small, the brutality is important, need explanation, like the My Lai massacre in this explanation. But more importantly, linked to the second question, compared to other cases, right? This is the way historians work, or maybe this is the way I like to work. Think. I claim no expert in other issues. I'm scared to claim to become expert of China, Cultural Revolution, or many other incidents, 220 incidents. Read widely, think widely, but when I write on small issues. Yes, I have in mind not only the concept of silence, but examples. Perhaps you can make a comparison. Those examples are specific, yet those examples are tight. This is the way historians work, maybe historians like me. We love to tell a story and live with that. You can take the story as one specific case, not applicable to anybody else in the world, that's fine. You can take a story and then think about everywhere else in the world, that's fine too. Because there is no perfect comparison. You make your own comparison. Then another question is silence resistance to the dominant ideology. That's an example of how you make a sense beyond what I said. I never thought about this, but you're right. In fact, in the book I wrote about one silence, I didn't mention this. The silence is a protest, but it's a small part I skipped. I didn't include in this talk. But if we think about expanding, or even the story I told, in a way, is a resistance to dominant ideology. Yes, in a way it is. Then how much we can make beyond that. Think about it. Do I agree or not that civilization and genocide go together? Yesterday, when I listened, I smiled all the time because I like the idea. I don't know. I agree, fully agree with what condition, but I think it's interesting. It's a very interesting idea. And we should know too that sometimes because like story, and leave the rest for you to think, to comparison. The presentation yesterday maybe try to stake out important point, maybe exaggerate it, and let you think. So that's all my answer. I think it's fascinating idea, but on what conditions? Of course, one of them is just, I raised the question yesterday, in what ways the explanation is applicable to Cambodian genocide or not. It means, like in this case too, October 6, 1976. The basis is not from Christianity, Christian concept. It has its own homegrown, because after all, Buddhism is not even Thai, it came from India, right? So I don't know whose concept, West or East, or who are the rest, but let's say, I would say it's worth thinking to what extent civilization and genocide and murders have some correlations. Final question, this is fascinating question. Yes, I thought about silence. That first, a lot of scholars on memory study take silence as forgetfulness. Only, let's say, after in the mid-2000s, change of position, which I benefit from them too. Silence doesn't mean forgetfulness. Look at the Me Too movement. Silence is full of memory. Right? Now, I don't think that this explanation, and I don't think to explain anything more than that. Then I learned silence in music. If you know music, silence in music is necessary to make the two sides of silence sounds. Certain thing, right? Without silence in between, the sounds might sound weird. So silence in music is a voice. But I have not thought, I admit, silence in the West, in the East. I admit, I never thought about this question. I just thought about silence in music, silence in novel. It's a form of voice. I never explore even to the point that what are many forms of voice silence represents. Maybe too far for me, but I think as a concept is interesting, and ultimately your point, one of the words saying that what the relationship between silence in those East and West. By the way, I'm not sure, I'm always suspicious of East versus West. Yeah. But what the relationship between silence in East always and truth. I thought about it, yes, but not that far. I believe that what I try to present, already talk about silence and truth, is complicated. On the one hand, silence means suppression of truth. Ultimately, maybe one case, but again, one case could be a type. The silence of the father. I can't write him off. That somehow may be personal. It looms very large. The silence also means memory.
Thank you so much. So this morning's keynote session would end here. Let's thank Thongchai again. We will have a 15 minutes break, a tea break, and then the next section will start 15 minutes later. Okay.